Hey, good afternoon. It's Brian Johnson and Chris Vanberg, and welcome. We've got a bunch of people piling in, so we're going to give everybody just a few minutes before we get going. So we invite you to grab some water. I've got two. I got one right here in my little jug. I got some more right here. If you haven't got an opportunity to, and you are on our email list, make sure you go there and print up that sheet that we made for you. That way you can follow along, you can fill in the blanks, and you can start to create some massive memory and use this information today while you're on the call. Because I can tell you that, and Chris will confirm, like all the stuff that we've ever learned over 70,000 hours invested, like this is by far the most valuable stuff that we have ever learned, and we're going to share it with you tonight on this call. So we'll actually get into specific stories on things that have happened to us and our experience with body language and what it has allowed us to undercover or uncover what has been functioning subconsciously in us, and makes a massive difference on what's showing up in your life, in your relationships with your money, in your business, in your home life, in your life, in your personal relationship with yourself, all that stuff. So we'll actually get into that stuff. So, Chris, you got some stuff you want to add there?
I will. The reason why we provided the worksheet is there is so much information that is done from memory retention and how much more the brain is firing when you're actually using nerves and you're firing in your hand versus even just typing. So handwritten notes are amazing. So if you don't have the workbook in front of you, pen and paper, because just like Brian said, this is one of the most powerful information we have ever learned. It is absolutely life-changing, and we are so excited to share with you this evening. So it's been a few minutes. We just want to get everybody, as many people on the webinar as possible. Brian and I always have our jugs. You know, a lot of our clients, because they have these big giant blue jugs or some glass containers. So have your water with you and chug some right now, because it will dramatically improve the way that you think about it, open your mind, increase your energy levels when you're sitting down. So focus and pay attention, and we are so excited to have you. You ready to get going, Brian? What do you think?
Yes, let's do it. And one of the big thing about the blue containers is that that's a BPA-free plastic. So if you are drinking out of water, one of these BPA-free plastics will have a definitely healthier effect on your water. Anytime you can drink out of glass, do so. So let's go ahead and get rolling. So body language, what does it mean? And our personal experiences. And we're going to start off with just letting you know that body language is responsible for 85% of our communication. So anytime you are right now, pay attention. You may start itching, you may start scratching. That's all information that most people have no idea that's going on, nor do they understand what it means. Well, we're inviting you to consider that tonight. That may change for you. I think it's really important to understand our experience with body language first, so you know the impact that it has had on your life. And let's see. So currently I'm 37. When I was 20, I went through some pretty rough times, and I was actually suicidal. And for the longest time, I'd say for probably 10 years, okay, for 10 years, I would be going through my life. I would be doing really good in my career, be in a relationship, being, having a great time, enjoying myself. And then what would happen is I would start to get happy. And then when I would start to get happy, I would notice I would start having thoughts that would start sabotaging, okay? The experience that I had in my 20s that created my suicidal situations was because basically I had fallen out of love with myself from some experiences that had happened that I had not forgiven myself for, okay? And what happened was, as I progressed through my life, as I got happy and life was going great, to me, that equaled pain. Love equaled pain. So I would start creating experiences in my life that would start sabotaging my work, sabotaging my relationships, sabotaging a lot of stuff in my life, unknowingly, not knowing where it came from in that original situation. So my very first experience with body language was just like this. I was in class. There was a young lady who was sitting right here in front of me on my left, talking to our teacher, Bob. And I'm sitting there with my arm on her chair, and she's talking to Bob. And I literally am taking my hand and I'm just scratching my arm, like big time. Like, I'm like, all right, something's up. I was like, that's an abnormal scratch. I'm like literally digging in there big time. So I didn't know much about body language at that point. But during the break, I decided, all right, I'm going to go over there and talk to Bob and see what's going on. So I went over there, talked to Bob, and I was like, hey, what does you know, this stuff right here mean? And I probably had like 5 words come out of my mouth. And he goes, well, how long have you had a death wish? And I was like, wow, that's interesting. He goes, don't say anything. Wait till class before we go back and we'll talk about it. And I said, okay. Well, class started back up. I'm sitting in the hot seat. Bob's sitting in front of me. And literally for the next 20 minutes, he's helping to coach me back into my experience because I wasn't it. I was nowhere behind my eyes experiencing my life in the right here, right now. And for me, that was because of the experience that happened in my 20s that I had not loved, I had not forgiven, I had not chosen to love myself again and make a conscious choice to move forward. Well, I can tell you that through my word choice, the words that came out of my mouth, it's all code. We'll explain this stuff to you too. It's a little more in depth. We're just going to get surface tonight. What happened is that during that time, my coach picked up that I had a death wish, that I was suicidal, that I did not love myself. And now here's my question to you. If I ask you the question, do you love yourself? And your answer out of your mouth is anything other than yes, that's a no. Not wrong, just feedback. Well, that same experience happened to me. And that's how my coach figured out where I was. And that's how he helped to coach me back into my experience. And I can tell you this much. My life changed dramatically that day. I left class that day. My whole life was different. Things were brighter. Trees were moving more. Nature was more involved and more prevalent. And I'd have to say it was because I was more aware and more in tune and behind my eyes as I started moving forward in my life. That's one experience. I've had multiple experiences like that, and I have duplicated a lot of those experiences with a lot of my clients in extremely short amount of times, Chris included. So I'm going to let Chris kind of tell you his experience with body language so you can understand it. And then as we start to build the framework of what's going on tonight, we're going to start to show you practical application, like how you can take this. What does this mean? How does this work? What does this mean for me? We're going to get into all that.
Every single one of us have been through a situation where it might have been traumatic for us in some form or fashion. And what we don't realize is necessarily how that is affecting our current decision making, right? And very similar experience to when I was sitting in front of Bob. I just rubbed the front of my legs. Immediately when he was asking me the question, I reached down and I rubbed the front of my legs, which is others, and moving forward. And within just a few words out of my mouth, Bob knew that I had an experience in my childhood. And the experience is very simple, which was I moved from an East Coast town to a small Texas town. And immediately people made fun of me because of the way I spoke. And I was still holding on to that pain of being afraid to express myself and the way that I really felt was important because of people judging me for the way that I talked. And when you're trying, Bible says your greatest weakness shall be your greatest strength. And it's been a few years since then. And when he helped me walk through that experience, when he helped me walk through and understand that I was still holding on to that pain, and when I forgave it and I loved it, my public speaking was amazing. Not that it wasn't before, but I was able to speak messages that were really true to my heart. It was really to be able to be 100% authentic and not be afraid of what I was going to say is being judged or not. Because I'm speaking truth. I'm speaking from my heart. I'm speaking with love. And I've had so many experiences with my clients now that it's like, you know, they get excited. They're like, when I'm helping them with their language and I'm helping them improve and make better choices in their life. For years, people were asking me, well, what is it that you do? And I'm trying to articulate, well, you know, I can help people with nutrition or I can help counseling. But what I realized what we do is we help people find their path again. And body language helps us figure out where they diverted off their path and they were afraid to be back on it. It's that powerful. I've had experience with my clients where they're like, oh, they get excited. I tell them what we can do and what we can help them with, or that we can read body language. And immediately, friends, family, whatever, they're like, oh, read my body language. I'm excited. And I said, this is a serious situation. I'm not going to read your body language without permission. But this is what's going to happen. It's going to bring up an emotional event in your life. And it's probably going to lead to you, me, or both of us crying. And that's what it does. And but it's good. It's tears. It's release. You know, it's an experience that you're finally reconciling this event in your life, and you're able to get rid of this victim and become the victor in your life. And that is a huge step. And we have lots of these in our experience. So anyway, our point with this tonight is to be able to teach you some of this, help you self-identify some emotional stuff that you might be dealing with. So pay attention to your skitches, scratches, pains, static injuries. We're going to go into explaining a lot of that stuff. And once again, we're excited to share this information with you. Brian, you ready to get going?
Yeah. So we've already been going, but we wanted to lay down some foundation for you as we start kind of getting into this. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So check it out. So here, if you have the sheet that we got for you to print it out, here's what's up. So what I invite you to consider is, what are your biggest pains right now? Do you have suicidal thoughts? Do you have back issues, right side of your back, left side of your back, kidneys, lower back? All that's different information. Do you have knee issues? Do you have neck issues? Body aches, digestive issues, diarrhea, constipation, medication dependency, failing organs, kidneys failing, gallbladder removed. All of that is information. Do you have poor relationships with yourself, not loving yourself? You heard my experience, and honestly, I've met so many other people. Typically, about 7 out of 10 people will fall in this category. Are you financially struggling? Do you have disharmony in your environment? If any of that is true, none of it is wrong. None of it's wrong. It's just feedback. And if you have any of that going on, that's just information to let us know what's going on emotionally, so we know how to support you. So over 85% of our communication is done nonverbal. We have had multiple studies through AT&T is actually the first people who did a study way back in the 70s that proved this. And now you have Homeland Security back in the early 90s that have also proved that over 80% of our communication, 85% of our communication is done nonverbal. That's pretty wild. Chris and I both have 2 different body language coaches from various backgrounds. But here's our promise to you throughout this little journey. You will have a good understanding of how body language works and how you can make it work for you, which is the most important part, because you're not going to be able to start reading other people yet. And here's the whole deal. We would invite you to consider just using this for yourself as you master it, and then start to go into the other areas of it. But here's what we do is we invite you to be fully present as we share this with you. Turn off your phones, close Facebook, go where it's quiet, get some water. We invite and encourage you to take notes. Your retention level will be immensely more. And honestly, here's the deal. As a lot of people invest a lot of time living in tomorrow and living in yesterday, and none of those exist. Yesterday will never happen again, and tomorrow may never happen. Who knows? We invite you to be present now. Do some things for yourself right now that yourself will thank you for tomorrow. And I thank God I've done lots of things like that to where I can look now and say, wow, sure, I'm glad I did that 5 or 10 years ago, because it's changed my life dramatically. Okay? So here's some important stuff. We're going to go through about 4 different parts of body language, so we've broken it up for you. Part 1 is, how does body language relate to our feelings? Understand something. Our feelings comes from our emotional subconscious body. Part 2, static body language, meaning tight muscles, like static body language. For example, if my shoulder's hiked up, this means that I have a burden about doing something, or I have a burden with a male figure in my life. If my shoulder is lower than normal on my right side, this means I can't say no. All of that is information, okay? The third part is organ body language. We're going to get into what organs mean certain things. And then we're going to get into part 4, reading body language.
So we just encourage you to stay to the end. We'll tell you how you have a 20-minute consultation with Brian or I and a body. And this is, once again, time with us is the most valuable thing that Brian and I can actually offer. We can teach so well online, but we can teach so much better in one-on-one interactions. Even we do a lot of mastermind and group trainings that we can teach people, because even in a group, when somebody else is experiencing something, it is something that you or somebody you know or friends or family might also be experiencing. And so we love to do these type of group coachings, but a 20-minute consultation with us is the most valuable thing we can offer. So please stay to the end. So first, we want you to just be a little conscious, a little aware of your body. Where are you breathing from right now, right? You could be breathing from 2 different places. You could just be doing the normal shallow breaths that a lot of people do from their chest. The chest means your medulla is actually running your operating system right now. That is your fight or flight region of your brain. Also known as the back of the skull. A lot of people that are dealing with stress and fight or flight for long periods of time begin to experience that upper shoulder trap and neck area, and that medulla is in control. Or are you breathing from your diaphragm? Diaphragm is like the upper stomach. It's a relaxed state of breathing. It means that you're in what we call thriving, but in a full relaxed state. And we're conditioned by our environment constantly to be in fight or flight. So it is very common for people to be breathing just out of their chest, simply because of all the stuff that's going on from the news to the media, the stuff that you read on a daily, all these daily inputs that put you this fear into your life. So take a moment right now. We want everybody to be in a nice relaxed state. I encourage you to relax, sit back in your chairs, breathe in through your nose, full, deep, long breaths. Breathe out through your mouth and exhale. And do a nice 5 deep breaths. Give everybody 30 seconds to do this. Breathe in, out. In, out. 3 more. So we just want to make you aware, this is the reason why we do what we do, is because the medical reasons why we die are preventable. And heart disease and cancer, the 2 leading causes of death in America, are mostly affected by lifestyle choices. Flu, stroke, diabetes, Alzheimer's, most of these are affected by the daily decisions that you make. We are supposed to die from old age. These are diseases that are symptoms mostly from what you cause or what you do in the way that you live your life. And we're putting all this pressure on our medical system to take care of us. It's really not a healthcare system, it's a sick care system. And because we have so many sick people all the time, we have a ridiculous amount of things going on from a drug perspective and from a side effect perspective. There's over 2 million adverse drug reactions every year. This can lead up to even death. 20 million prescribed antibiotics for viral infections. And I'll go back to that adverse drug reactions. You've seen the drug commercials on television. The responses and the activations or the possibilities of side effects is the longest part of the commercial on every single drug commercial. And so this is not even there could be more than these, but these are serious adverse drug reactions. Over 7 million unnecessary surgical procedures. The leading cause of death in America is not actually a disease. It is deaths by medicine. That's adverse drug reactions, medical errors, dying from bed sores or infections in hospitals, unnecessary procedures. There's this term called iatrogenesis. It's the study of medically caused death. Basically, the doctor was doing exactly what he was supposed to, but the person died anyway, and medical error. This is the reason why, one of the reasons why our health insurance, or the cost of our health care is so much, is because doctors have to carry so much insurance and stuff because malpractice is so common. Most of our drug market is not designed to make us feel better or actually help you heal. Most of it's designed to kill or manage a symptom. 2.7 of the drug market is symptom management. It's not drugs to help you get better, but help you manage your symptoms so that you stay on for life. That's where all the profit in drug research goes. 1926, cancer is the 10th cause of death in our children. Today, it's #1. They did a study of the umbilical cord to find out why. 287 toxic chemicals on average were found. Over 200 carcinogenic materials were found in the umbilical cord on average. This is why our children are dying from cancer at such an early age. There's over 212 chemicals, industrial chemicals, that are found in our body at any one time. The average person urinates out 7 pesticides. And you tell me that organic is too expensive. Plastics are the main cause of breast and prostate cancers, and breast cancers also have dental involvement. These are things that you should deserve to know because they're important for your health. But the great news is, all these things are better with lifestyle choices. Brian and I spend our focus on air, water, food, and consciousness. Today's focus is specifically on consciousness. When we talk about body language, what we're doing is we're talking about your conscious and subconscious mind, and how so much of this is within your control. And all you have to do is learn the language that it speaks so that you can learn to communicate with your own body effectively and be really, once again, 100% authentic. But look, I love these pictures of Brian and I. Brian Brian and I have been through it, okay? Emotionally, physically, we've been through the ringer and back again. And this is why we can talk to people with absolutely no judgment in our lives, because we would be total hypocrites if we ever did in any way, shape, or form. What do you think about that, Brian?
100%. So I think it's important for you to understand some things that Chris and I have been through on an education level. And we don't put this up there to pat ourselves on the back. It's more or less to give you an idea of who you're getting your information from and to let you know that we have invested the majority of our lives learning and mastering and being a student of all of the different information that we've come across, from learning about body mechanics to disease reversal through grocery store foods, which you may have seen some of our videos on. We've been blessed to work with some of the top coaches on the planet to help us and support us on our mission, because they believe in and love what we do, and they help us to understand how to better serve. And that's basically what we do. And here's some pictures of some people that we work with and still do. One of my clients, good friends, Jonathan Spring, American Condition Coach, up there on the top left. Chris and I have done multiple classes at Life Austin, where we go and teach at the church for multiple weeks at a time. Chris is teaching at Monsanto up there on the top right at the Capitol. That's teaching at Aveda. And we get blessed to speak at some amazing places and continue to do so. We're actually going to Michigan next month to go speak at an event up there. So we get to do some pretty awesome stuff. And we also do a lot of personal development. So that bottom slide is down there where I was actually out in the jungle at the beginning of this year, in the middle of the jungle with turkeys and freaking wildcats and all kinds of stuff for 8 days, doing a lot of personal development work. So we are huge advocates in a lot of personal development work, and that's where a lot of our money actually goes. And we believe it's important for you to understand that we have done a lot of things wrong in order to understand where we're at now. We have changed our business plan and philosophy significantly. We used to do a ton of personal training. We actually used to do a lot of state education classes for state facilities here in Austin, Texas, where they would want to come and work out with us. So we started teaching workouts and realized that's not what we wanted to do, because not many people, even though they were working out, were getting results, because they still had emotional baggage and trauma that was going on that they weren't able to understand how to move through. So we got out of doing that and got into doing more of what we're doing now: public education, public speaking, webinar trainings, online training, so that we can take our message and support and help a lot more people a lot faster. We discovered all this information the hard way, but the beauty of this is you actually get to do the easy way, because we're giving you the short, condensed version that gives you like the Cliff Notes, so you understand all the cool stuff without going through all the crazy stuff that we went through. And after 40 years of combined experience and over 16,000 case studies, we finally found the formulas for health and vitality that work consistently across the board.
It's been a long, hard road of learning, and you know, we tried to do, when we started Corporate Fit, I mean, we didn't know exactly, I guess, 100% of what we want to do, but it taught us all the things that we necessarily didn't want to do anymore. And in the meantime, we also were doing the study and the education to learn most of the material that we teach today. So it's definitely a learning period for us. But just in case you didn't know, Brian and I are not doctors. We definitely don't claim to be in any way, shape, or form. And so any information we share with you, we put this, especially because we share this nutritional information, your doctors may or may not be aware of, but if you're under the care of a physician, it is important for you to run anything that you plan on doing for your health by your physician to see if he does know, and he or she does know anything about it, because that's sort of how the legal system works. We call that legal poppycock. But what does everyone really want, right? You know, the scale, or the scope, I should say, of Brian and I's clients is far and few between. We have a lot of successful entrepreneurs, successful people that work with us that are just trying to make the most absolute best out of their life. We have
confirmation.
we have customers. Yeah, I choose. We have customers that are on medications or struggling with diabetes or on or chronic ailments that are struggling, and we have people that have unable to lose the weight, but really they all want the same thing, which is feel better and be better. And so this tool, body language tool, is really effective in helping people make be more effective, make higher choices and better choices in their lives. And resolve a lot of the stuff that's been going on in the past. So we're gonna give you some real basic body language stuff initially. And this is some basic organ ones just to help you recognize some and what it means to help you feel better. If you were dealing with any of these emotions, fear, sadness, anger, wouldn't you desire to recognize what it is, deal with it, reconcile it, and so you could feel better immediately? Look, stress is related to every single disease in the body, makes them all worse. And all negative emotions cause additional stress in your body. So if you have pain or struggles in your stomach, you're possibly operating under fear. If you have chest in your throat, struggling with sadness, back or neck, anger, remember, it can also have to do with that fight or flight scenario. So there's real basic body language that have to do with parts of your body. And practical application, right? You have to understand that that the body is only somewhat in control of the mind, or by the mind. And I mean that by your conscious mind, right? Most of the functions of your body are totally there without you thinking about it, right? You're breathing unconsciously, you are digesting your food subconsciously, your blood is pumping, your heart is funking, all the thousands of chemical reactions that are going on are going out without you controlling. You actually only really control about 1% of your function and your thinking that goes on. That's your conscious mind versus your subconscious. And that part of your body has huge controls over your function. So if your emotional body is not doing well, then your subconscious is suffering, and so is your physical body. And there's so much of this in science that is proved to be true. Just the belief that you're going to get better or the belief that you're going to get sick has a huge impact on reality, on your physical body. Placebo is considered the nuisance of modern day medicine. When they're trying to prove that a medication is successful or not, they have to prove above and beyond the placebo, which basically means them not actually giving any medicine to the people, just the possibility that the people believe that they might be taking a medicine that could help them, they get better anyway. And they are doing double-blind studies, so they're specifically telling the people there's a good chance you're not getting the medication at all. They don't want them to believe in any way that they actually are getting the medication, because they only want to show medication making a difference, not just the human mind. But the opposite is also true. People that have been diagnosed and told that they were going to die of cancer in 6 months died in 2 weeks, many times over again, because as soon as they believed that they were going to die, their body just started to shut down anyway. So what is it that you believe about yourself can be more true than what is actually going on in your perception world, right? For every feeling, there's a chemical reaction. Itch, pain, symptom in your body, there's an emotion that can be attached to it. And it can help you figure out what's going on, not to view it what you're doing is wrong, but how to make a better choice or resolve the stuff that's going on in your life. They can show up in aches or pains or symptoms, language patterns, some types of disease. When did these symptoms start? What was going on in your life, or what emotions were present? You know, if you look at this lady, she's grabbing the back of her neck right here. Remember how Brian just mentioned, this is a burden, male figure in her life. She's reaching over and she's massaging it. Could also be doing something in her life. She's feeling a burden from her perception of other people. This is very simple body language, and it's common, very, very common. So we're going to get into a couple of things and what they mean. This is called static body language. So basically, body language being a language, there is no actually exact translation. However, it helps you give you direction. And direction, with the direction, it's like you're taking a library and you've indexed it. And once you know a couple of indexes, it's very easy for you to figure out where the book is that you desire or what might be going on in your life, right? So the body language helps us ask much more narrow questions to get exact answers. Find the truths. Right side of the body can mean a lot of different things, but they're very much aligned in some ways. Masculine, doing, rational, action, dad, giving, helping. Left side of the body, feminine, intuitional, receiving, creative, mom, being fed. And you think about right hemisphere brain versus left hemisphere brain and how they cross and how these also has to relate with your physical body. Contracting side, okay, so to explain this, any part of the body that contracts upon itself is a perception of self. Any part of the body that expands upon itself is a perception of other people. Once again, it all is going on internally to you, but it's your perception of the outside world. or inside world, right? So you think about your arm, the part of your arm right now that closes in on itself where your bicep is, that's a perception of self. Everything on the backside of your forearm and your tricep, that's all a perception of others. Your center torso, you bend forward. That means it contracts in on itself, so it's a perception of self. Your back faces outward, it expands. It's a perception of others. Legs are the opposite. The front of your legs, the top of your quads, perception of others. Back, hamstrings, calves, perception of self. So this helps you, once again, there are the questions now. Head, top of your body. Let me just show you real quick, like this is easy, right? Right up here, thinking, knowing, remembering, doing, hands, handling, legs can be understanding or moving forward. There's a lot of understanding that happens with just the certain hemispheres of the body. Once again, you've got, if you know, if it's the right knee, left knee, right elbow, shoulders, joints, also partnerships. So sometimes unforgiveness. Once again, there's not necessarily an exact translation, but with very simple moves, you can have a great understanding of what somebody might be struggling with emotionally. Ears have to do with hearing, understanding. Shoulders, remember, burdens or blessings. Once again, what Brian and I try to do here is we try to also, you're not looking for what's wrong. Sometimes you're looking for a past event or a struggle or a perception, but what it turns into, remember, your greatest weakness shall be your greatest strength. What we're trying to do is find resolution so you can find your strength in that event. What did you learn from it? What was the blessing that became of it? Burdens are just unrealized blessings. Your chest can be burdens with responsibilities or blessings returning. Joints, flexibility. Remember what I said, anything with a joint where they're connected can have to do with partnership. Handling sometimes in your wrist, that can be in ankles, understanding. Flexibility in handling, right? Handling or receiving, left hand or right hand, is it something that you're doing? Knees, a lot of times we found deal with people that are struggling in a right or left knee, but it's partnership, male or female figure, sometimes both. Sometimes it's both partnership and receiving and moving forward or doing. And these are very common issues. So are shoulders and elbows. And it's and think about how many people have struggled with knee issues for years and unable to find resolution. We've had people that have struggled for knee issues for 20 or 30 years, and just through a forgiveness and a freedom exercise, they would no longer deal. 95% of their knee issues were gone.
So part three, organ body language. So the first thing to keep in mind is that there are a lot of people with thyroid issues that equals anger. If you have someone with hypothyroidism, that's mom anger. Hyperthyroidism is dad anger. Thymus is fear. Heart is love issues. Liver and gallbladder is resentment. Kidneys is unforgiveness. Unforgiveness meaning you have some issues with male or female, mom or dad, with yourself towards some things maybe you haven't forgiven, that show up really prevalent, like between thyroid, heart issues, gallbladder issues, kidney issues, and stomach issues. Those are a lot of very common ones. You have the spleen in there, which is apathy, which is I can't, it's too hard. Stomach is fear or sorrow, like what Chris was just talking about. I had a lady not even 2 weeks ago that I was on the phone with for about 14 minutes. She had debilitating knee issues for 20 years, stomach issues for over 30 years. She's had doctors look at her, put her on medications, never solved the issue, never got any better, was still on the meds, wasting money, putting toxins in her body. And literally in 14 minutes, we were able to uncover the situation that was going on, and we're able to present her with some options and ideas of being able to forgive that situation. And boom, all her knees gone, all her knee pain was gone, and all her stomach pain was gone. I contacted her a couple of days ago to see how she was doing. No knee pain back, no stomach issues back. She could get up and function with her kids. She went on some long events out to some theme parks and walked around all day long. And she said usually she would be down for 2 or 3 days after that. No issues. It's all emotional. A lot of the issues that people have today are emotional issues that have been unresolved, that are floating around in our body that are creating symptoms and pains and issues that are showing up to get your attention. That is the purpose of having a symptom. So here's some important things when you're actually reading body language. The first thing, like Chris always says, you have to ask for permission. And the only true answers that exist are yes or no. Reason being is anything other than yes or no is non-existent communication. Meaning, if you were to say, hey, do I have permission to help you out, to ask you some questions? And I say, sure, that's a no, for sure. Don't go any further. And I would not invite you to do any of this stuff on anyone else without having some professional instruction before you're very fluent with it first. This is all really for you, just kind of giving you an idea of how things work. Asking the person, never ask them what their diagnosis is. Ask them what symptoms are showing up. I have pain in XYZ, or I have ache in this, I have tight in this, like that kind of stuff. Never say, well, my doctor told me I have blank, blank, blank. You definitely do not want that. The symptoms will reveal what questions to ask. What was said verbally when the signals came up? When you were asking questions, what was itch? What was scratch? What did their body do? One gesture does not tell you anything, or everything rather, but it gives you a lot of information on what to do next and how to start addressing your questions. And pay attention to the environment and the timing of the signals, and making sure that you're being in tune when you start doing this stuff, and mainly for yourself. As you're cruising down the road in your car, this is the best example I could give you, and you're thinking about something and your body's like, oh man, you scratch your nose. Most of the time you don't even pay attention. But now that you understand this and you're conscious of it, it's going to feel like somebody is in your body moving it around without you doing it. Okay? There's times when I'm sitting here and I'm like, I didn't do that. I know I didn't do that. I had no desire to do that. It came out of nowhere. It was automatic response. I couldn't have stopped it if I wanted to. That's I will. That's I can. This I'm seeing differently. All this information is going on to help us to identify whether we are on our track, whether we are on our alignment, or whether we are not, and then how we can adjust it. That's the cool part about it. One of the things to keep in mind is that we have what's known as the emotional scale of harmonics, which means we have 7 scales. Enthusiasm is the top. That's as high as it gets. That's entheos, God in you. Enthusiasm, pain, anger, fear, grief, apathy, which is I can't, it's too hard, and unconsciousness. Now, when someone's scratching like I just did, I will. So if someone scratches 3 times, that's sorrow. Someone scratches 4 times, that's fear. A lot of information, giving you some more advanced stuff right now, okay? The emotional scale of harmonics, like I just said, enthusiasm, pain, anger, fear, grief, apathy, and unconsciousness. And here's the important thing. What I invite you to consider is just imagine this. Imagine that you understand exactly what your body is saying to you, and you can translate it immediately. How do you think that's going to affect your life? Do you think you're going to make more heart-centered choices? Do you think you're going to understand yourself better and how to understand what your body or your subconscious is desiring from you or asking you to do? Imagine that you understand how to support your family and your clients at the deepest level possible, which is providing emotional support by understanding what their body is asking you, not their brain, their conscious mind. You're talking their subconscious, which is where your powerhouse is. Imagine that you understand when a symptom or a pain shows up, what's going on, and how to consciously make the adjustments with your word choice, and watch your body confirm your choice, stopping the pain immediately. Since I've understood this wisdom, I have had so many experiences where I have woke up in the morning and my back hurts or my foot hurts, because check it out, when you're asleep at night, when we are asleep at night, our conscious mind, meaning our thinker, is asleep. Our subconscious mind is still functioning, and it is using our body as an instrument to communicate what's going on emotionally. So when you wake up and your back hurts or your foot hurts or your neck is tight, you're like, oh man, I think I slept wrong. You didn't sleep wrong. That's because you're not understanding how to think and do, or you're not understanding how to do something that you've been thinking about, or you're thinking about something you don't want to do, or doing something you don't want to think about. When you understand that, you can say, all right, I give myself permission to think and do with ease, and bam, neck pain gone. Wow, that's amazing. How did that happen? It happened because you're listening to your body and you understood the systems that we're going to teach you how to reverse it on the spot that fast. Not joking. So here's your invitation to join us. We would love nothing more than to hold your hand and take you through what we've been taught. And here's what we're offering you. We're offering you to join us on our course, and we're going to talk about why body language. We're going to talk about static body language, like how you can literally be at the mall, watch people, and know what's up and what's functioning in their bodies lovingly. We're going to talk about dynamic definitions, how when people are moving, what's going on. We're going to talk about systematic postural imbalances, like why shoulders are elevated, or why we have forward heads, or why we have external feet that pop out, all of that stuff. We're going to talk about onset of symptoms and experiences and how to resolve them. We're going to talk about doing and receiving, meaning male, feminine, feminine receptive. We're going to talk about unlocking your clients and your family's biggest emotional barriers. And most importantly, we're going to unlock your emotional barriers. Ooh, it gets kind of scary sometimes, but guess what? You are your clients and your friends. And in order for them to upgrade, you have to upgrade first. That's how it works. That's not being selfish. That's the way it's supposed to be. Then we're going to talk about reaching the core of their struggle, or reaching the core of your struggle, figuring out exactly what's going on in you and why you keep showing up the way that you do in certain areas of your life, and why you keep doing things differently and expecting different results and they still keep showing up the same. That's all subconscious body language stuff. We're going to talk about recognizing the lie and how to adjust it. We're going to talk about language code. So here's an example of language code. Like if I was talking to you and say, for example, I'm listening to someone on the phone and they go, hey, and Brian, man, I had such a great day. And well, that's 3 stutters. You remember the code? 3 is sorrow. So I know for a fact before they even get into, hey, here's what's going on in my life, I know there is sorrow functioning, meaning that their joy is what's returning. So I automatically know how to start questioning them and positioning myself to help them out and support them before they even said a word, before they even have a clue of what's going on. I may even feel tightness in my chest and my throat while I'm talking to them, because guess what? Your body and my body is a transceiver, meaning while I'm on the phone working with people, my body feels what's going on energetically from them. So I can feel my throat get tight, my chest get tight, which is sadness. I can feel my back and my neck get tight, which is anger. Not wrong. It just gives me information to show up on a higher level to support them at a higher level. You can do the same thing. We're going to teach you. We're going to talk about acupressure meridians. Like some of my clients, when they get headaches, you get headaches in different areas of your head. Well, each different area of your head is a different organ system that functions. And when you understand that, and you got a headache, like right here is blood sugar, I can go over here to my ring finger and squeeze it and turn off my headache. Or I've got a headache on the top part of my head. This is hormones. This is not my bird. This is God-given strengths. My hormone finger, I would squeeze it, bam, headache gone. We're going to show you all this stuff. Okay, we're literally taking you into the Yoda tricks that Yoda didn't even know. So here's what you get. You're going to get 3 online trainings. These are all recorded body language trainings, translations, understanding language code, practical application, and the freedom process. The freedom process is what Chris and I use to help people literally set themselves free from emotions that they are holding on to. That in itself is worth every bit of the investment that you'll pay for this program, because I promise you this much. If you take away one thing from this training and you understand how to recognize when you have an emotion that's functioning, that is not serving you, that is creating disharmony in your personal relationship, in your family's relationship, in your business relationship, in your relationship with your friends and your other people, and you actually realize it because of what your body's telling you, your life is going to change, because no longer is that going to have the ability to show up and to wreck you being enthusiastic about your life, period. So all the recordings will be, or all of them will be recorded, so you have access to them if you missed them. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, we have a couple of bonuses for you because well, now that we've done a few online courses for people, we have realized that the secret to success is also working with community. So so we created a closed Facebook group for all of our clients. It's amazing for community support. Questions get answered. Everybody's learning the same material, so you can also actually reach out and get specific questions. All like-minded individuals. You know, if you've ever heard that term, you are the sum of your 5 closest friends. This is true, and if you're trying to make this perspective of your life better, if you're trying to make higher choices in your life, if you're trying to start taking care of your body and your health, and you want to understand your body in a new way, especially your emotional body, it's good to connect with other people that are doing the same. You'll learn more by experience. Brian and I also do these mastermind calls where we work with all clients, all with similar goals, and we put them together so they can all learn from each other's experience in group coaching calls. And we have tons of exclusive video and content we post specifically for our already clients. We have a couple of other bonuses. We have found that in our success of helping people be healthier and live and be more aware of their bodies is the healing power of smoothies. You probably have heard Brian and I both do specific videos on smoothies and the power of the ingredients and grocery store ingredients to reverse every different type of disease. And so we're going to give you a couple of, but this is once again a limited quantity for just a few people. But once again, this is one of those powerful things that we can teach, and so that's why we're offering that right now. And so here's what you get. You're going to get our 3 online trainings for body language. It's going to include everything that you require knowing, translation, understanding, language code, the freedom process on how, when you identify some emotional barrier or block, how do you deal with that and move past it is the biggest thing you can learn and process from this, right? It's one thing to be able to translate the body language. It's a whole nother thing to be able to translate the body language and resolve the issue on the spot immediately. 2 months to our community and 2 of our smoothie videos, but we've got a little bit of a deal. There's $2,500 in value. We are going to offer this course once it's published to the public for $9.99, but since you stayed to the end, today we'll give you an investment for $3.99. You should be able to click the enroll link the enroll link below. That deal is good till 10 o'clock tonight. But we're going to put this personal guarantee on it, which means if for any reason you're unsatisfied with the product within the first 2 weeks after the program starts, give us a call and we will refund your money immediately. No questions asked. We can offer this because nobody has ever actually asked for a refund yet. And we're kind of proud of that statistic. If you have any questions, feel free to text us right now. We are unable to actually answer calls right now because we actually have to get on another call immediately after this. However, you can text us or reach out shortly afterwards for more information. If you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out. To get your free 20-minute body language assessment, since you are amazing and you stayed till the end, email us right now at support@thinkgreatloseweight.com. To schedule, just say body language assessment and your name and contact information. We'll reach out to help you support and discuss this with you.
And if you have any questions, you can go back to the other screen for a sec. You can call Chris and I. We got about 12 minutes before we hop on to our next call. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Look, we're here to help you. So if you're fuzzy about some things and you're not understanding a couple things and you would like some clarity to figure out what we can help you do in your life, then call us. That's what we're here for. Like, honestly, that's what we are here on the planet for, is to help and serve and to help you be your best. And we are willing to do whatever we need to do to help you do that. So
listen, we have learned and shared this knowledge, and even though now this is Brian and I's role in life, it is more than our role or our jobs. It's our mission in life. Our mission in life to make people feel better again, or help them on their path of feeling better again, helping them find where their path is when they strayed from it and how to find it again. Where did they veer off, and why do they keep steering themselves away? Why are they self-sabotaging? Why do they have limiting beliefs of what their capabilities are? And help them make a better choice. And that is some beautiful, powerful, incredible knowledge. And we would be doing a disservice not to share it.
Yeah, awesome. I have my phone on standby. There's somebody calling in at the moment. I'll give them a couple seconds. But here's the deal. If you're interested in doing it and then you're focusing on the payment, you're like, oh man, it's $399. Honestly, it's $399. You're going to waste more money than that going out to eat. Imagine if you never had to go to the doctor again because you understood how to resolve your own issues and then share this with your family. Instead of focusing on the payment, focus on the payoff. That's all I got. So have an awesome night. We thank you for your time, and we honor you for investing with us, and we look forward to serving you. And remember, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. Have an awesome night. Bye-bye.
Have a blessed night.